Om Soham Tetramasi. Om, you and I are one with the one universal God of all creation and no other. Jai Bhagwanji, victory to God the Beloved, that beloved universal I am that I am, which you are. Excuse me. I want to show you this candle. This candle is of the utmost simplicity. If all you want to do is find your way through a room. All you need to know is that you hold up the candle and you look. This candle is like our religion. It's simple. But if you want to understand this candle, if you have a desire to understand why this flame burns, to this very day no one has sufficiently explained why fire propagates itself. I mean, you can take the superficial explanation that, well, it's burning and there's material there to burn, so it keeps on burning. But what is the law of physics? What is the physics explanation for why fire keeps on burning? It can get very, very complex. You can go into the molecular, you can go into the submolecular. And so, you see, religion is like this candle. And frequently I make a mistake. I'm a person who has grown up among engineers and scientists. I'm a person who has, well, I've got a bachelor's degree in psychology, a master's degree in behavioral sciences, a marriage family therapy license. I've spent my whole life around people who want to understand. Why? Why does that fire, why does it keep going? But you see, most people just want to find their way through a dark room. That's all. That's what most people want to do. Or they just like the ambiance. They like the looks of it. They don't care why it does what it does. And our religion is like that. It is absolutely and positively simple for a person who just wants to have it, for a person who just wants to find peace and serenity in this world, for a person who just wants to eliminate the one and only fear that is at the bottom of all other fears. A woman from India was trying to advise us at one time, and she said, yes, this is all wonderful, but what do you have that people can have now? Why, peace, serenity. But I don't have peace and serenity right now. And you don't look very peaceful sometimes, Maitreya. And you don't look very serene, Maitreya. Don't go by me. Don't go by me. I am not supposed to be peaceful and serene. I'm supposed to do God's will in this world. And sometimes that takes the stubborn will of a brass jackass. My peace will be when we attain what I call divine critical mass. My peace will be when God spreads His new covenant into the souls, into the hearts of every soul. That will be my peace. Until then, I'll have no peace. But that's not you. It would be like going to a guy who is sweeping the floor in a factory and saying, what do you think about the annual returns this year? I said, what? Annual returns? What are you talking about? Well, what do you think about the state, the fluctuation in the bond market? What? What are you talking about? I just sweep the floor and I get my paycheck. That's all I want. You see, I'm like the CEO of the company. I have to worry about the bond market. I have to worry about the books and the bottom line and how the payroll gets met and all of that kind of stuff. You don't. You don't. And so I was at a loss to answer this woman, because our biggest concern, believe it or not, is death. We don't want to hear about it. Don't talk to me about it. Get away from me. Our desire to avoid the subject is so pervasive in our culture that you never even see a dead person. Unless it happens to be a relative of yours that passes away. You don't see a dead person on the street. No. Some places you do. In India you do. China you do. But here you don't. Boom, there's somebody there. Grab them, wrap them up, bag them, tag them, and get them out of here. We don't want anybody to see this. And so we have this kind of existential fear that sits right here or right here or right here that drives us. It gnaws at us. It eats at us. And we don't know what it is. Because we're afraid to identify it. We're afraid to point the finger of truth at it and say, you, sir, are death. That's what we're afraid of. That's what gives us, ordinarily, that's what gives us anxiety. Why are you anxious? Well, because I have to get to work on time. Well, why do you have to go to work on time? Because if I don't get to work on time, then I might get fired. Well, who cares if you get fired? Well, if I get fired, then I won't have a job. So if you don't have a job, what happens? If I don't have a job, I can't pay my rent. I'll be thrown out on the street with my family. I won't be able to buy food. Well, what if you were thrown out on the street and you couldn't buy food? We'd die. There you go. There you go right there. It's your one and only problem. Why do you go to school? I gotta get a degree. I gotta get a degree. I gotta get... The biggest stupidity on earth right now is I gotta get a degree. You don't have to get a degree. There was a time when people's parents told them, you've got to go to college, you've got to get a degree because you won't amount to anything. And there was a time when that was true. Do you know how many people have degrees now that are standing in bread lines? There's too dang many degrees in this world, and too few people who can do something. I was told, I don't know if it's true or not, I was told many, many years ago that they had a program in Germany where you had to carry two majors. One could be academic, but the other had to be a craft of some sort. Tile setting, auto repair, carpentry, something of that sort. Because that way, you're never going to be out of work. If you can't get a job as a carpenter, you might get a job as a professor. Can't get a job as a professor, might get a job as a carpenter or a mechanic. It's a great idea. But why do we need that degree? Well, because I don't want to end up like the bum on the street pushing a shopping cart. Why not? What do you have against shopping carts? Well, the guy has to sleep out in the cold. Well, what does that mean? Well, you sleep out in the cold, you get pneumonia. What happens if you get pneumonia? You can die. You can die. There it is again, hiding in the shadows. To have peace in this world, you must conquer death. To have peace in this world, you must conquer death. Now that doesn't mean that you're going to stop working at your job and get thrown out on the street and sleep in the snow. It means you're not going to be afraid of it anymore. This next month I have to go for what they call open heart surgery. And it's not really open heart. They go in through the side of your chest, but they stop your heart for a time. And a very, very wonderful man who's a former Catholic priest said, "Oh, I hope everything works out all right." I said, "It's up to God. If God wants me home, Now, I'm ready. Let him take me. If he doesn't, then I guess I have to stick around. I'd rather be with him than here. It's not being with God that's hard, it's being in this world that's hard. So we have this specter. We have this dark cloud of death that follows us everywhere we go. Most of what we do in our daily lives is to avoid it, to not think about it. We drink, we smoke pot, we take pills, we play sports until we're so tired that we can't stand up anymore. We pursue sex and romance. We pursue, all kinds of things. We kind of try to stay alive through our progeny, through our children. Well, if I have a couple of kids and I die, then they'll carry on the tradition. They'll carry on the line. But we don't deal with death. And to be at peace in this life, you must deal with death. And you must deal with it factually and actually. It's not enough to say, oh, if I say the word teddy bear 50 times while I'm passing out before I die, then I'll be cool. It's not enough. You know it's not enough. So, my answer to this woman is what this religion offers people in this world is peace and serenity by knowing, as nearly as you can directly, by knowing, I am not this body, I am not this mind, I'm not this personality, I'm not these thoughts, I'm not these memories, I'm none of this. I am pure, divine, universal spirit, which is one and identical with the one universal God of all creation and no other. I am like the wave on the ocean that rises, lingers for a time, and then goes back into the ocean from which it came. That's what I am. Now, of course we don't want to lose our... Look at all the... You should have seen me when I started. I was a terrible mess. I've worked so... It's like going out and finding an old Model A Ford rotting away with no tires, no roof, and just a bare skeleton out in a field, and turning it into a first-class Model A classic car. Rebuilding the whole thing. That's what this is. That's what this is. I don't want to lose this. I don't want to lose all the work I put into this. But I'm not this. And the important thing of this is you. And you will never lose you. Okay, so what's this religion got to do for me then? If I'm never going to lose, if I'm a wave on the ocean, I'll rise and I hang out, and then I subside back into the ocean. What do you got to show me? Well, you see, the problem is, you know how disturbing and how traumatic the idea of death is right now, don't you? Don't you? And if you really let yourself confront it, there goes your peace. There goes your serenity. I don't care if you've resolved it all in your own mind. What about your family? They're going to miss you. What about your friends, your dog, your cat? What about them? See, it's not that easy to resolve. And the truth of the matter is, and this isn't complicated, just flow with it for a minute. The truth of the matter is that we don't die just once. That would be tragic. We die over and 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 over again. Not just that many times, but maybe 1,000 times, 1,000,000 times, 1,000,000,000 times. We keep on being born into this world, living in this world, and dying until we are set free. And we know that. We know that at a soul level, at a spirit level, that nobody can even describe. That's why temporary fixes don't work. They're like Band-Aids when you need a tourniquet. You know, your arms sprouting blood and somebody comes along with a little Band-Aid and says, well, let me put this on there. I don't think that's going to do it. See, in your soul, in your heart, in your spirit, in yourself, you know that you have lived tens of thousands of times before and died tens of thousands of times before. You've lost families tens of thousands of times before. You've lost friends tens of thousands of times before. And in your heart and in your soul and in your spirit, you know you're going to do it again. This time and next time and next time and next time and next time. And see, that's where the simplicity and the miracle of our religion, of my religion, comes in. Nothing in this creation is free. There is no free lunch. Not even with God. No free lunch. Somebody has to pay the price. Now, Jesus paid the price on the cross for the sins of the world. Buddha paid the price for the ignorance of the world in another way. Muhammad paid the price in his way. Rama, Krishna, Abraham, Moses, they all paid the price. Somebody's got to pay the price. And I paid the price. I sacrificed my own, what I call perfect final union with God. That state in which the wave subsides back into the ocean. That state in which the drop of water falls into the sea and becomes sea. The sea. I was there twice. Once when I was 8 years old and again in 1977. I died twice. My next one will be the third one. Technically, I suppose you could say that when they stop my heart for this operation, that'll be the third one. So I'll have 4 of these things in my life. And I gave up perfect final union with God twice as a self-sacrifice for you. Not just you alone, but for you and all souls. And the second time, I went even further. You know, in the Bible they talk about going the extra mile. Well, I went the extra mile. Or should I call it the extra light year? Because the second time when God asked me to return to this world, I said to God, Father, I will never again take my perfect final union with you until I have seen every last soul safely home into perfect final union with you before me. But I will return to this world and live out this life in this body that you have given me. As simple as it is, as mediocre as it is, as difficult as it is. And then at the end of this life, I will ascend into the spirit realm with you. Very, very close to you, but not quite one with you. And I will live in the heart of every soul, guiding every soul home to you. That is my vow of compassion. And God accepted it. And then he said, because of your self-sacrifices and vow, I will make a new covenant with man. That whoever receives your holy initiation and follows you to the end of this life, I will give that soul, that person, because some people think soul and person are different, I will give that person, that soul, what you have sacrificed for the sake of all souls. Namely, exactly, precisely, perfect final union with God. And the wave will never rise again from the sea, and the drop of water will forever be one with the sea. You will forever be one with God, never to be born or suffer or die again. And if that doesn't bring you peace, brother, if that doesn't bring you peace, sister, then you don't understand my message. Nobody gets out of this life alive. But it can be your last time. And it can be a liberation rather than a horror. Oh, you're going to not want to leave your family. You're not going to want to leave your friends behind. But you have to do that anyway, sooner or later. Unless they all leave you behind and you're the last one. And that can be a horror worse than death. So eventually you're going to have to do it anyway. But in this case, it will be a glorious rising up and becoming one with God rather than a tragedy. Rather than this horrible idea of you're going to go to hell or you're going to go to heaven. I can tell you you're going to go to both. You're going to do some time in hell. Get used to it. Because hell is where you are purged of all of the things that you have done wrong for the last 1 billion lifetimes. It's hard to take. But you will get through it. Do you know why you'll get through it? Because I have pledged that I will be with you every step of the way until you step across that line into perfect final union with God and you've got a friend. And I will go through your hell with you. And then you'll go through heaven. And you'll enjoy the supernal and absolute bliss of heaven. But sooner or later, even heaven and hell, being created, come to an end. For you. And then you either go by one of two roads. You either go by the path of the moon, which is the path of woman, and you are born again into this world through a woman, to suffer and sorrow and die again. Or you go by the path of the Son, which is the path of the Father. In other words, you go into perfect final union with God and enjoy perfect total freedom forever. That is God's new covenant. On a personal level, that's just wonderful. That's just wonderful. I got mine, man. But, you see, God isn't satisfied with I got mine. And so, He said to me, on the way back into this world, He said, go and give this to all willing souls of this earth. And by that time, I'd acquired enough personality back. I'd acquired enough material back for this entry back into this world. And I said, Father, I can't do that. I'm only one person. And He said, I will give you this promise. This is my supreme promise. That when there are enough souls on this earth at any given time who have received your holy initiation and my new covenant and are following you home to me, I will spontaneously and without further qualification or judgment or reservation, spread my new covenant into the heart of all souls. And every soul will have the opportunity to come home into perfect final union with me at the end of his or her life. There will be universal salvation and liberation. No soul will be left behind. The force of darkness, the devil, will be destroyed. And every soul that has been condemned to hell will be made anew and taken into God. There will be no devil. There will be no force of darkness. And there will be no hell. That is the promise that I have for you. I can't make you believe me. I can tell you my story until I'm blue in the face. I can't make you believe me. There's only one thing I can say. If you look at every religion on this planet today, and I'm not putting them down, every one has at its root one of God's mercies to man. And if you're going to be a Maitreya, and if you're going to follow me, you're going to have to accept without doubt or reservation all of God's mercies to man alike, without being bound to accept what men have written or said about them. And I tell you this, there is a Bible, there is a Quran, there is a Bhagavad Gita, there are the Buddhist scriptures, there's the Torah. Not one of them are written in the first person. I am here as an eyewitness to the truth of what I preach to you. Oh, my friend, who's a fundamentalist, he says, that proves that you're false because there were no witnesses to this thing that happened with you. And there have to be witnesses. And I say to him, Mike, you are wrong. There is a witness. There's only one witness, but there was a witness. The only witness I need, and that witness is God. That witness is God, and I don't need any other witnesses. If you got God for a witness, why do you need another witness? What am I going to do? Go to the government and say, give me a judge. I want a judge to witness this. I wouldn't have a judge witness it. The only judge that needed to witness this was God. And so if you want to find out if it's true or not, clear your mind of your prejudices and your biases and your bigotry. Clear your heart of your preconceptions and your already existing beliefs. Purify your heart and your mind and ask God, and God will tell you. He is my witness. He is my witness as I am His awakened and ordained one, sent into this world for the universal salvation and liberation of all souls. So you see, it's simple. You want to know how it works? I can talk for ages. I can talk for weeks. I've written tens of thousands of pages. I have thousands of discourses, videos. Oh, I can go into it, believe me. I can go into it just like a physicist can go into why this candle is burning. And if you want to know that, the stuff is there. Now, it's not rock hard. Theory is theory. It's from God, a lot of it, but you may not agree with it. So if you come along and say, well, I don't agree with your explanation, therefore I'm not going to use this candle to see in the dark, how foolish are you? The purpose of this candle is so that I can see in the dark. How foolish are you if you say, well, I don't like your explanation of why this candle burns, therefore I'm not going to use it to see in the dark? No. If you want to just use it to see in the dark, if you want to use it for warmth, you don't need to know all that. All you need to do is to believe and accept. To accept God, to accept me, and to accept God's new covenant and supreme promise into your heart, your mind, and your life. And to fulfill God's new covenant by following me to the end of your life. Now don't go complicating things. See, there you go. You don't want me to complicate why the fire burns, but now you want to say, well, exactly what does that mean to follow you? I can't tell you. I can tell you this. There are people who have followed me for as long as 30 years, 32 years. I've never once asked them to do anything immoral, unethical, or harmful. I can't give you anything any better than that. Find yourself a politician that can say that. Oh, there are some disgruntled ex-members that will lie to you and tell you different. But then isn't that what disgruntled ex-members are for? Yeah. So here is this gift. You do have to put in a little work. I told you, there's no free lunch. I paid the price for you to have universal salvation and liberation. I paid the price by giving up my own perfect final union with God twice, 3 times, if you include my vow of compassion, and put myself at the end of the line of all souls to make sure that every last soul steps across that line before I do. Oh, that's a frightening prospect. You have no idea. But it's also a joyous prospect because it means you're going to go home. And eventually, when the last one of you goes home, I get to go home. So you see, you have a price to pay too. What is your price? Is it your money? No. Is it your car? No. Is it your home? No. Is it your children? No. It is that you will take this gift that I give to you, that I sacrificed everything for, and you will go out and give it to other souls who are willing to receive it of their own free will and self-determinism. You will not use force, threat, coercion, intimidation, bribery, violence, or deception. You can't. It won't work. But you will go out and offer it to every soul that you meet and say, listen, brother, listen, sister, here's the good news. God has made a new covenant with man by which you don't have to die anymore. You don't have to suffer anymore. You don't have to sorrow anymore. But by which you can become totally one with Him and enjoy perfect total freedom for all eternity. Are you interested? And if they are, talk to them. And if they do agree, give it to them. Because everyone who has this holy initiation of mine, every one of you, is not only empowered but also ordained to transmit it to anyone, anywhere, anytime. And when you do it, I will do it. And when I do it, God does it. In this amazing chain of events. I told you that there were going to be a couple of other people doing a little preaching here tonight. I want you to understand what they're going to be preaching about. Because I don't tell them what to say. They say what's in their hearts. I may not even totally agree with it in some cases. But it's what's in their hearts. And if you become a Maitreyan, then I expect that you will speak from your heart. But that you will speak from your heart in tune with the way of life and religion that God has given us. The Maitreyan way of life. This is a new way of life. This is a new religion. And yet it's the oldest religion there is. God created this religion before He created the first soul. God created this religion before He created the first speck of matter and set the earth and the world and the solar system and the universe into motion. So it's at once the newest religion on this planet because it's been forgotten for so long. And it's also the oldest. As my brother, Jesus, once said when He stood before His congregation, before the congregation of Jews, "This which you have heard tonight has come to pass in me." Om Soham Tatvamasi. Om. You and I are one with the one universal God of all creation and no other. Jai Bhagwanji. Victory to that beloved universal I am that I am, which you are.
I was one of those people that Maitreya just preached about, that was running from death, that had so many problems and had fear of losing a job, fear of people. And I can say and stand here before you and say that I was one of them. When I met Maitreya, he took a burden so great away from me that I can barely even imagine it anymore. He lifted this heavy burden of this fear of death away from me. I remember very clearly the moment that it happened. I had gone for a walk with Maitreya on the pier. I was very young, in my early 20s, and for those of you who are older now, you know what it's like to be in your 20s. You have tons of problems. They seem enormous, tons of problems. School, family, friends. And as I was going down my list of worries and concerns, Maitreya turned to me and said, "Shanti, you have only one problem." And in my head, as a young person that I was, I laughed in my head at him, figuratively, thinking, "Oh, no, 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 no. I don't have one. I have all of these." And he said to me, "You only have one problem. And once you have that problem conquered, everything's just a situation to be dealt with." And so I said, "Well, what is that?" And he said, "It's death." And when he showed to me how conquering death, not just intellectually, it was not an intellectual thing, it was not a mind thing, even though all the words were there, but when he revealed to me that my essence of who I really, really am is God, one and identical with God, and that nothing could touch me, could reach me, but that I could know that I could have that experience of who I really was, and not to be preached at by some teacher or priest or whatever, but to know that, to have that experience of who I really am, that would solve this problem of death. Because I was going to college, people could tell me all sorts of things, and yes, they would be true, but it never changed me. It never changed that inner part of me, and I'm sure everyone knows what that is. People say things all the time, and you can believe them, but does it ever reach you inside, in your soul heart? That's what Maitreya did. It wasn't just words. It was because he is the Maitreya. He has had personal, direct experience of who you are, who I am, who we all are. He knows God. He was in oneness with God. And that is something that, I don't care where you go, you're not going to go into any church, you're not going to go into any other religion. You will not find anyone in this world that is here, can tell you that they experienced who they were, experienced God. And to top everything else off, that he won this amazing gift for humanity, for you, for me, and to save humanity. And it's not something I can put in words, but like I said, I was one of those people. It's so foreign to me that I forget on a daily basis that most of you don't have what I have. And I just want everyone to have it, because to be free of that struggle, that burden, words just cannot say it. Om Saham Tat Tvamasi. All victory and glory to Maitreya the friend, the one who has sacrificed all for all of you. Jai Bhagwanji.
Jai One day I was sitting in my motorhome on a camping trip, and I was desperate. I wanted to know the truth. I wanted to be free. I wanted out of the suffering of this world, and I saw no way out. I saw no way out. All there was living, eating, getting married, having children, living for a while, and then dying. That's all I saw of this world. That's all I knew of this world. And I knew that death was coming. I knew every minute. I can remember being 5 years old and knowing that I was going to die and worrying about my mom and what if I died when I was still a kid? What was she going to do? What was she going to feel? I would worry over it. And I worried about it. And it ate me up inside. And I became depressed and felt that this whole world was useless, was meaningless. And then I met Maitreya. And I will never forget the day that I first met Maitreya, because I didn't just meet another person. Maitreya went inside of me, to my very being, to my very core. And I felt for the first time in my life this tremendous relief from pain, this relief from suffering that goes beyond anything that you can imagine. Because it wasn't something that I thought up, it wasn't something that I intellectualized about. It's something that Maitreya did for me. He came into my life and my heart and my very being, and he opened me up and he freed me. And I have never been the same again. And you will never be the same again. Now, not everybody who meets Maitreya has this happen at first. No, not everybody has this happen at first, because the one thing that God has said is that accept Maitreya for your salvation and liberation. Accept God's new covenant that he brings for your salvation and liberation. It's that acceptance, it's that wide open acceptance that will set you free. So just take a moment. Open up your heart. Open up your soul. Open up your very being. Just for 1 minute. 1 minute. You can take it all back later if you don't like it. But for 1 minute, open up your heart to Maitreya. Accept him into your heart. Accept God's new covenant that he brings to you. And the sacrifices he has made for you and all souls, and the vow of compassion that he has given to all of us. Accept that just for a minute. That is what God's eternal universal religion is about. And then the most beautiful thing after that comes, follow Maitreya. God has said, accept Maitreya, accept his holy initiation, and then follow him to the end of your life. What could be more easy and simple than that? And God's ordained it. He's given it to all of us. He's just said, accept Maitreya and follow him to the end of this life, and you will be set free forever from the wheel of suffering, sorrow, death, and rebirth, and you will go into perfect final union with God at the end of this life, and you will never have to suffer and sorrow again. And God has further given us this supreme promise and ordained us to go out into the world and give this beautiful gift to as many people as we can, so that we can create this divine critical mass and set all souls free. Accept Maitreya, follow Maitreya, and help him set all souls free. And we will create and bring forth the age of God's pure truth on earth, and we will all be free, and peace will be everywhere. In my heart, in your next door neighbor's heart, all over the world. We can do it through Maitreya and through his sacrifices and his vow of compassion. Accept Maitreya. And follow him.